Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Scores Studio. Welcome to the show. Final spoiler season day. I've said that weird, but I'm going to keep going. Final day of spoiler season for March of the Machine. I got that right again. It's tough to say because it's always like March of the Machines, but it's Machine. There's also a card called March of the Machine. Regardless, Mom, spoiler season is coming to a close, and we've got some incredible heavy hitters, and oh my goodness, I absolutely love this brand new card. Yeah. This one definitely surprised me. The more and more that I read it, the more and more I got invested in it. And yeah, let's jump into it. Rona Herald of Invasion. Rona is back. I think for the third and probably final time. I don't know what happened to Rona in the story. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you. But yeah, the third time I believe we're seeing Rona. And this is most definitely, in my opinion, the best iteration and one that could pack quite the punch. A 1/3 human wizard for 1 and a blue. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, untap Rona Herald Invasion. I love the way that's worded. Again, it's not just legendary creatures, it's any kind of a legendary spell, and this allows you some pretty crazy things. On top of that, tap, draw, then discard a card. Draw a card, then discard a card. I can't talk right now for some reason. Regardless, loot. Fantastic again. You knew something had to pair, obviously, with that untap, or just be kind of weird. Be like, hey, 1/3 with Vigilance, basically. Yeah, no. Being able to untap over and over again, being able to kind of just dig through your deck, loot through your deck constantly, that is fantastic. And there's a lot of applications to this. Now, this is an MDFC commander, meaning that there obviously is a backside, because, yeah, as you can see, 5 and a Phyrexian Black, transform Rona, activate as a sorcery. Yes, there's a backside card, and it's very spicy. And this is one of those commanders where I think you probably want to pick either the front or the back and really go heavy into that side, because they kind of work a bit differently. And personally, well, let me give you my take on which side I'm going to lean into more heavily after we talk about the back. But regardless, yeah, this is a Dimir commander because, yeah, you've got the black on the commander as well. So there you go. Moving on, we've got the backside, Rona, Tolarian Obliterator. And actually, you can see, yeah, with the mana symbol, not mana symbol, whatever it is, the designation of Dimir and next to the legendary creature Phyrexian Wizard. Yes, this is a Dimir commander. 5/5 Phyrexian Wizard with Trample that says, whenever a source deals damage to Rona, Tolarian Obliterator, that source's controller exiles a card from their hand at random. It's a land card you may put on the battlefield under control. Otherwise, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. So basically, I mean, it does say Obliterator, and that was like, when I first got, I was like, oh my gosh, did you just get a Phyrexian Obliterator in the command zone? Which would have been crazy. This is not Phyrexian Obliterator. This is kind of a lesser version, but also a good version, a very good version, obviously. Phyrexian Obliterator, those of you that don't know, whenever it's dealt damage, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. So yeah, if you have that on this, your opponents would be in really big trouble that you can get this in the command zone, and that would definitely be the side I would focus on, because you could take players out in absolutely no time once you flip this over and, yeah, just went to town on your opponents, just destroying them. This, again, is not bad. It is good. That is a really cool trigger. Again, if an opponent damages this, and there's plenty of ways to kind of force that to happen, we'll talk about some of those here in a bit, you get a major benefit. Again, exile a card at random from their hand. So they can't just pick and choose, be like, here, take this, sure, whatever, this tiny little, card or whatever. No, you can get a card at random, which means, yeah, sure, you could hit like a Blightsteel Colossus out of their hand if they happen to have one of those. That's their own fault for using that. I don't feel bad for anyone whenever they get taken up by their own Blightsteel Colossus. That is your fault for putting that in your deck, and I'm sticking to that. Regardless, you could hit a land. Now, you do get that into play under your control. Otherwise, you get to choose to cast the card or not if it is not a land. So, yeah, if it's something that's not beneficial to you, like if it's a Wrath of God, and you're like, well, I'm in a good position right now, and I don't want to destroy my own creatures, then don't do that. But, yeah, if it's a really good card, yeah, free value, what's not to love? Now, personally, when it comes to, again, this commander, again, the two sides kind of don't really mesh together all that much, really. Like, they're kind of two distinct commanders. And personally, when I'm going to be building around this commander, it is actually going to be the front side of the commander. That is what I'm going to be focusing on. Regardless, I'll talk about cards that work well with both sides in the budget buys and the pricier picks Again, on this episode, I'm going to take you through cards that in the budget buys are less than $1 cards within my budget. And the pricier picks, cards that are outside of my budget, cards that are more than $1 but might be within your budget. Regardless, all these cards will be in a card list link in the description below, so make sure you check that out. And if you are excited about this commander, make sure you consider picking up some of those cards sooner rather than later, because when a new exciting commander like this one is spoiled, sometimes cards go up in price that work well with them. And now with all that said, let's jump into those budget buys. Let's start things off, and I had to do it this way. Let's start things off with Fibbleflip the Lost. That's right. I love decks that can actually utilize Fibbleflip, and this one is just, hey, you know what? You can go Legendary Tribal pretty heavy with this commander, and low to the ground Legendary Tribal I think is going to be a very beneficial thing for this commander, and Fibbleflip is very low to the ground. Hey, a 1/1 Homunculus, legendary creature, of course. Very legendary, super legendary. Finally got another card, actually. Make sure you check that episode out at some point. They only cost 2 mana, 1 and a blue. Enters the battlefield, draw a card, venture from your library, is cast from your library, draw 2 cards instead, so that's probably not going to happen, which is okay. It doesn't really matter all that much. When it comes to target-based spell, you shuffle in your library. Cool. Regardless, this is basically a, again, 2 mana, legendary creature that draws you a card on ETB. Of course, there are ways to use and abuse ETBs, but regardless, you are untapping your commander when you cast it. So kind of like, it's just stapled onto this as well. Basically, draw a card, discard a card as well. So you're drawing 2, discarding 1, because again, your commander untaps, you get to tap your commander again. And actually, there's ways to make your commander even more impactful. We'll talk about here in a bit. But yeah, just a low to the ground legendary creature like this one that is very simple. You can really take advantage of with a commander like this. Next up, the Raven Man. I just think of Ravenclaw for whatever reason. Harry Potter. Anyways, I'm off this morning. 2/1 Human Wizard for 1 and a black. At the beginning of each end step, if a player discarded a card this turn, create a 1/1 blackbird creature token with flying, and this creature can't block. Also, pay 3 and a black tap, or each opponent discards a card activated on sorcery. That's nice. I mean, again, you can have different untap effects that you can really take advantage of and kind of decimate your opponent's hands with this throughout the game if you really want to. But again, a low to the ground legendary creature that is going to untap your commander, and also you do get a benefit again at the beginning of each end step if a player discarded a card. It doesn't say opponent. If a player, so that includes you as well. And yeah, you've got ways to untap your commander, so yeah, you can make a lot of birds with this. Now they can't block, but still you can make, you know, a good Air Force that can just be, well, very pestering towards your opponents, just coming through each turn essentially. So yeah, you can make a good amount of creature tokens with this, and again, the very least, hey, it is a low to the ground creature that can untap your commander. And also, yeah, again, decimate your opponent's hands too. So yeah, just a good card for this deck. Next up, Jacob Hawken, Inspector. I don't know why I expect and do that voice, but I just did. So we're going to go with that. 0/2 Human Advisor for 1 and blue. And this one's actually kind of similar to our brand new Rona. Tap, draw a card, then exile card from your hand face down. So not exactly looting. It's like drawing, and then you're getting rid of the card, not in your graveyard, though. You're just exiling it. But that being said, you may look at a card for as long as it remains exiled, and you can pay 4 blue if you do transform it. And when you do that, well, it flips over into Hawken's Insight. Legendary enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, exiled the top card of your library face down. You look at the top card of your library as long as it remains exiled. Once during each of your turns, you may play a land or cast spell without paying its mana cost from those cards, essentially. So, hey, you get, yeah, basically a free card per turn that you're casting once you flip this. Regardless, the front side of this is just very, very effective with this commander as well. Again, getting it down early, untapping your commander, getting extra value from your commander, and also this one just kind of another looter for you. Again, a loot exile effect, an exile looter. I don't know what you would call it. An exiler. Nope, that's not it. We're going to move on. Anyways, Azami, Lady of Scrolls. This one is huge and definitely would be in contention for the Golden Pig with this commander, because my goodness, this just cranks things up in certain ways, I should say. There's certain things that it doesn't shut off, but there's ways that you can benefit more. Regardless, Azami, Lady of Scrolls, Human Wizard 0/2. Tap and untap wizard you control, draw a card. Rona, let's just double check this to make sure I'm not making a mistake. Yep, a Phyrexian, well, no, Human Wizard, the backside's Phyrexian Wizard. Regardless, a Human Wizard. That means that now Rona can tap and allow you to draw into your deck, which is fantastic. Yeah, actually, when I was kind of thinking about cards that work well with this, I, for whatever reason, just thought of Azami, and then I was like, oh, I gotta look at that. Okay, sweet. And then I was like, oh, wait. I think the first Rona was actually like an Artificer. The second one was a Wizard. I can't remember, or it was the reverse. And I was like, oh, I really hope this one's a Wizard. And it is. So I'm very happy because, again, now your commander is just straight up, hey, tap, draw. you played a legendary creature or legendary card, essentially. Hey, untap, tap, draw, tap, draw, tap, draw. You can draw an absurd amount of cards now with your commander, and of course, a zombie as well. Yeah, this basically is hypercharges your commander. Yes, there are certain things, again, that are better when you actually are discarding, so you can still utilize that. Again, it doesn't replace your ability. It just kind of gives you an additional ability. Yeah, you can choose to either tap your commander and loot, or tap your commander and just draw. So again, straight up card advantage. Next up, though, Thought Reflection. Speaking of card advantage, yeah, I brought this card up a lot in the spoiler season because there's a lot of commanders that can apply to, and it can do a really, really good job for you. Enchantment for 4 blue, blue, blue. It's worth every single one of those manas, though. Manas, whatever. Anyways, if you would draw a card, draw 2 cards instead. So again, hypercharging your commander, making that incredibly efficient. Again, instead of just looting and just kind of, you know, being at parity, right, draw, discard, you are now getting card advantage. Instead of card selection, you are going up a card, draw 2, discard 1. On top of doubling up all your other card draw as well. Yeah, I mean, if you're pairing this with like a zombie, and then, yeah, both that your commander and a zombie both now tap for 2, draw 2 cards. Absurd. Yeah, this card is fantastic. And again, yeah, definitely worth that mana cost. Next up, Shock and Retriever. Okay, I love this. Definitely one of the bestest boys around. An Elemental Hound. How adorable. 2/4. Whenever you cast a spell during your turn, untap target creature. So, again, you've got quite a few creatures that have tap abilities, including, obviously, again, your commander. So you're just like, okay, yeah, I cast this legendary spell. Untap my commander twice. So, yeah, you can untap your commander even more, dig further into your deck, and yeah, I absolutely love the synergies with this. And again, that's why I personally would focus on the front side, because it's got some of those juicy synergies that you can really make the most of. And the backside sure is cool, but, you know, the front side is what I would more so focus on. Next up, Telekinetic Bonds. Yeah, this one is just a janky card that I just like. Whenever I can find a deck that works well with it, I'm just like, I really hope the Telekinetic Bonds work with this untap effect or whatever. I love this old janky card from Judgment. I think it's from Judgment. Regardless, back in my heyday. Anyways, whenever a player discards a card from their hand, you may pay 1 and a blue. If you do, tap or untap target permanent. Discount your opponents as well. But again, at the very least, hey, you tap your commander and you're like, hey, draw a discard. If you don't, you know, if you didn't play, you know, any legendary creatures or legendary spells or whatnot to untap your commander, you're like, on that discard, yeah, I will pay 1 and a blue. I'm going to pay 2 mana to untap my commander so I can loot again. Or again, yeah, I mean, if Thought Reflection's out in play, hey, draw 2, discard 1, keep doing it again and again and again for a lot. I mean, just basically dump your mana into that essentially as a resource. So yeah, this can just hypercharge your commander as well. Can take advantage, again, of that discard. So yeah, make sure you're taking advantage of cards that, well, take advantage of that. I'm just going to keep saying take advantage, apparently. Anyways, Cure Mysteries also takes advantage of discarding. There we go. Whenever you cycle or discard another card, scry 1. So, again, you already have looting with your commander, which is not card advantage, it is fantastic card selection. Scrying is also great card selection. Tap your commander, draw a card, discard a card. Whenever you're discarding that card, you scry. You look at the top card of your library. You don't like it, get rid of it. Put it on the bottom of your library. You are now kind of like filtering your draws. You are just curating the top of your deck, hence the Curator of Mysteries. And you are able to then kind of more efficiently draw into better cards that will help you out with the situation that you're in. So yeah, basically, again, taking advantage of ways that you're discarding. And yeah, you're going to be doing that a lot throughout the game. You're going to fill your graveyard with a lot of cool things. And also, of course, taking advantage of the drawing as well with Psychosis Crawler. Yeah, this can be a great finisher for you. First up, it's Pattern Toughness for each number of cards in your hand, which, again, if you've got those ways to just turn your card selection into straight-up card advantage, like Thought Reflection, a zombie, etc., yeah, you can get a really big hand. This can be a really big heavy hitter for you, which is very nice. But more importantly, whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. This can just will your opponent's life down in absolutely no time. Again, if you're going to be tapping, untapping, tapping, untapping, tapping, untapping, drawing an absurd amount of cards, digging through your deck, your opponents aren't going to last long when they're getting drained for 1 every single time you draw a card. Good luck to them. This is a great card. Definitely make sure you're considering it. Speaking of considering cards, yep, now let's move on to the pricier picks. Again, cards that are unfortunately outside of my budget, but might be within your budget. And cards that are definitely outside of my budget are Mox cards. Now, there's a couple of them that are banned in Commander, but Mox Amber is not. And it is a very good card. It costs 0. It's a legendary artifact, and it taps at 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. So first up, this is just basically a free mana rock for you. Again, your commander is incredibly low to the ground. So yeah, you get this down early, and your commander's like, yeah, cool, I have blue. So yeah, tap. Cool, awesome. So essentially, yeah, I mean, this is just a mana rock that is free, that is also going to untap your commander. So again, basically a free looting effect for you, or again, just straight up card advantage if you have those other things in play, like a zombie, Thought Reflection, etc., etc. Yeah, just having an artifact like this can just be fantastic, again, if you've got the budget for it. Speaking of which, Gerard's Hourglass Pendant. a newer card, one that I think is pretty interesting. Cost 1, it has flash. It says if a player would begin extra turn, that player skips that turn instead. Again, this is a legendary artifact. I should have mentioned that as well. Pay 4, tap, exile it, return to the battlefield, tapped all artifact, creature, enchantment, and land cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. So, first up, this is a 1-mana flash spell, so you can essentially say, yeah, okay, I really would, right before my turn, I'd like to draw at least one more card with my commander. You know, again, maybe even, you know, get more out of that as well, you know, depending on what else you have in play. You know, just flash this in, get extra value out of nowhere. Nice. Also, this can prevent, obviously, an extra turn. So if an opponent's like, I'm going to play an extra turn spell. Yay! And you're like, no. So essentially, yeah, you can just utilize this as like a extra turn counter in a way. And then also, this is a way to save your board as well. So again, return to the battlefield, tap all artifact, creature, enchantment, land cards. So this saves a lot of your things. Yeah, if you're not using planeswalkers, yeah, it's basically gonna save all your things essentially. Get them all back into place. So this can do a lot of work for you. It's a really good card. I like it a lot. Wish it was more budget friendly. Regardless, next up, speaking of good cards, one that is not legendary, but one that, again, depending on your build, again, if you're in the pricier build, there's a lot more of those, you know, legendary artifacts you can really take advantage of. A lot of low to the ground ones. And there's a certain strategy that I might have played a long time ago and maybe even did an entire episode on a deck that I no longer play because of the way that it works. But Someone's Anvil is a great card for this kind of a strategy, and that would be like Artifact Storm, essentially. Which, yeah, maybe ask your playgroup or LGS if they're okay with that first before you play it, because you can really monopolize the game and take up a lot of time just basically playing solitaire, but it's really fun for you. Anyway, Someone's Anvil, imprint. When it enters the battlefield, you can exile an online card from your hand. You're going to exile an artifact. Well, at least in this scenario. Spell you cast that share a card type for the exile card costs 2 less to cast. Now your artifacts cost 2 less. If you've got a ton of legendary artifacts in your deck that cost, let's say, 2 or less, well, now they're all free. So again, everything again is like a Mox Amber essentially when it comes to its cost, and now you can just cast them again and again and again. You're just casting a ton of them, digging through your deck with your commander, again, untapping each time because again, those are going to be legendary cards. This is not legendary, that's okay. And of course, you can do it again and again and again with a card like Retract, which is an incredibly efficient card, and it's one of those cards when like you first start playing Magic, you're like, why would anyone want to play this? An instant for a blue, bounce all artifacts back to my hand. Why do I want to reset my board? I mean, except to save things, but in this, you're like, nope, I don't care if I'm saving things or not. In fact, most of the time, I'm not going to be saving things with it. I'm just going to be like, okay, so I got my Someone's Anvil out. You know, I put all my artifacts in play. Let's bounce everything back to my hand. Get that Someone's Anvil back out. Do it again. Get all those triggers from my commander again. And get all those, you know, extra value from, you know, Thought Reflection. Oh, yes. The plays like this can just be game ending. Help you dig through your deck in absolutely no time. Sure, you can, you know, Thassa's Oracle win if you really want to with this kind of a strategy. Or, yeah, just take your opponent's out with Psychosis Crawler. Lots of ways to bounce all your artifacts back to your hand, and this is just one of those juicy ways. Next up, though, the reality chip. A legendary artifact, creature, equipment, jellyfish. That's a big line of text. I'm surprised they fit it on there, but yes, this is a legend. This is also an artifact, so it applies to this deck as well. It does have a blue pip of mana, though, so you would have to pay that even with that cost reduction. Regardless, this is a crazy good card for this kind of a commander. You can look at the top card of your library anytime. That is great because just even having that peek at the top of your library, you can determine, okay, like I'm thinking about activating my commander now to see if I don't know what's on top. Oh, wait, I do know what's on top because of Reality Chip. So let me see what that is, see if I want to activate my commander now. Do I want to draw into that? Do I want to get that right now? And also on top of that, if it's attached to a creature, you can play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. So the top of your library, this is basically just a future sight essentially now as well. So you just have access to the top of your library. I mean, it's a future sight, but better because your opponents don't know what it is. Don't know what the top card is. So yeah, a great card that again can basically just be, hey, perfection for card selection. That's a weird way of saying it. Regardless, you can essentially see what you're going to be drawing into. Or again, just provide additional card advantage for you throughout the game on top of being a legendary artifact equipment jellyfish. Or artifact creature equipment jellyfish. There we go. So yeah, again, just legends, artifacts, great things to consider for this kind of a deck and this kind of strategy. Next up, Bone Miser. Oh my goodness, gross. I would love this card to be budget friendly. I don't think it ever will be. It's so spicy. Here we go. 4/4 Zombie Wizard. Whenever you discard a creature card, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Whenever you discard a land card, add black. And whenever, you guessed it, you discard a non-creature land card, draw a card. This is a Waste Not, but for you. Waste Not essentially is a card that also I really wish would be budget friendly. It's really cool, but it's basically the exact reverse of this. It applies to your opponent's discarding cards. You're going to be discarding an absurd amount of cards with this commander, and when you do, my goodness, the value that you can get out of this and the explosive, crazy turns you can get with this. Discarding creatures, cool, make tokens. Discarding lands, oh my goodness, get free mana just for doing that to help you cast even more crazy things, great. Discard non-creature non-land, Draw further into your deck. Even more card advantage. Again, double that with like a Thought Reflection. Gross, lovely, awesome. Yes, Bone Miser, a great pricier pick for this commander. Speaking of which, this card used to be budget friendly and now it's not, and it upsets me. I love you, Archfiend of Ifnir. You're so cute and adorable. You're just like, I'm scared. I'm hiding behind this little pillar. But okay, anyways, it's kind of a terrifying thing, but also adorable. Anyways, 5/4 Flying Demon. Whenever you cycle or discard another card, get a -1/- counter on each creature your opponents control. Hey, your opponent's creatures, they're not gonna like last at all. They're gonna be gone in absolutely no time. You play this down, and even if your opponents are like, try to get rid of it, and then you're like, tap, untap, tap, untap, tap, untap, tap, untap, tap, untap, and yep, your opponents are in big trouble. So their creatures are gonna be gone. Yeah, you can discard an absurd amount of cards with this commander. Your opponents won't be able to keep creatures in play at all if this is in play. If you have this in play and you've already wiped their board, they're gonna be like, what's the point of even playing creatures? I need to deal with this first. I need to actually find a removal spell, or we're not gonna have creatures in play because we cannot keep them down. So yeah, Archfiend is a great card. Please reprint it, Wizards! Next up, Galecaster Colossus. This one's so spicy with this. Oh my goodness, the crazy things that you can do with this. Here we go. 5/6 Giant Wizard. Tap and untap wizard you control. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. So this is fun. Now keep in mind it does say you don't control. So unfortunately you can't just bounce your own legendary creatures to recast them, to then untap your commander again, to do it again and again and again. Wish that was the case. It is not. But regardless, now this turns your commander into a removal engine, or should I say temporary removal engine. Again, you're just bouncing something. You're not getting rid of it permanently. Well, maybe if your opponent never plays it again, but still, your commander can just take out that, all the things essentially. Now, every single one of your legendary spells is basically, hey, bounce target permanent as well. Because again, it's gonna untap your commander, which your commander can tap to bounce something. Or, you know, your other untap effects. Again, you've got Chalk Retriever, also adding to that untap bouncing awesomeness. So again, your opponents won't be able to keep anything good in play at all until they deal with this. And keep in mind, this also is going to be able to tap and do that too. So is Azami. So are any other wizards that you might have in the deck. Yeah, this can just be fantastic. Speaking of which, Teferi's Ageless Insight, we got there. Thought Reflection, again, but technically better, but technically worse. When it's in play, it's worse. When, you know, you actually just play it because it's 4 mana for 7, it's better. If you draw a card except the first one you draw on each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. Actually, I kind of forgot this. That's a boo-boo on my part. Legendary Enchantment. It's legendary, so yeah, it's better. Because this also is going to trigger your commander as well. Regardless, again, basically a Thought Reflection, except for the first card you draw on your draw step, which is fine. Who cares about doubling that up? I mean, it'd be nice if you did, but with this commander, again, you're going to be drawing a lot more cards outside of that. So yeah, again, doubling up your card draw with this commander is incredible, especially with a legendary enchantment that's going to trigger your commander. It only costs 4 mana. A fantastic card for a commander like this. Next up, I do want to mention some cards that do work well. The backside of your commander, again, not the side that I personally would like to focus on. Again, if it was actually just Phyrexian Obliterator, yeah, maybe, because that would be brutal and awesome. Nemesis Mask, though, works great with this. All creatures able to block with creature do so. So again, forcing your opponents to actually block your commander when it is flipped. You are guaranteed to then at least get a trigger off of that. Obviously, if your opponents have multiple creatures blocking, that's going to be multiple instances of damage, multiple sources of damage. Blocking your commander, you're going to get a couple of triggers off of that then. Like if your opponent has like 4 creatures blocking, that's like, hey, yeah, they just exile 4 random cards from your hand and I get to play them. Great. Next up, another way to go about this in a somewhat different way, bite it fast. First up, whenever a creature control deals counter to a player, you may draw a card. That's very nice. Obviously, again, your commander does have trample when it's on the back side. But also, hey, pay 1 to blue, tap, creature opponents control attack this turn to Fable. Yep. Hey, if I've got my commander back for blocking, I'm still going to be having it dealt damage. If it blocks one of your creatures that you're forced to attack with, now they don't have to attack you, but also you could just be sending them into a bad situation. You know, maybe other opponents aren't good for them to attack right now, so they might be coming at you, and you're going to be able to block with your commander and get a trigger. So yeah, make sure you keep that in mind. Obviously, you know, this kind of backside also does pair well with, you know, the Galecaster Colossus strategy as well, because Galecaster Colossus, let's say your opponent doesn't have any cards in hand. Hey, well, what's your best non-land permanent? Let's just bounce that back to your hand, and yeah, well, let's exile that after you hit my commander. You shouldn't hit my commander. That was bad. But yeah, this commander I think is a very interesting one. Again, personally, I would focus on the front side because, yeah, the value potential is absurd. Again, absolutely love this kind of effect. A low-to-the-ground commander that can loot. Again, just makes it like a Merfolk looter commander, but one that is hypercharged, again, because of the potential to untap an absurd amount of times. Kind of like a looter, legendary, tribal, untap synergy deck. Let's just call it that. And if you want to go to the backside as well, if you want to utilize that kind of, obliterator side, good for you. Go for it. Have fun. Regardless, speaking of fun, oh my goodness, it finally happened. If you haven't seen my episode on Urbrask, it is finally a good card. Poor Urbrask has been waiting for so long, been like the butt of all the jokes of all the Phyrexians for such a long time because Urbrask has been terrible with its first 2 iterations. And now finally, it's like, you know what? I'm finally here. I'm finally here, finally made it. And yeah, make sure you check that episode out. Regardless, make sure you comment below on this episode. Make sure you also check out my card list link on this episode if you are interested in this commander. Consider picking up some of those cards sooner rather than later because, again, when you do extend a commander like this one is spoiled, sometimes cards that work well with it tend to go up in price. And also make sure you're staying tuned for even more quick takes and spoilers coming up. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.